Megaprojects are often seen as audacious demonstrations of human ingenuity's potential in engineering and design. But not every massive undertaking is made equal. While some are destined to fail initially, others become worthless white elephants. In this video, we will look at 5 useless megaprojects in the world that controversy, cost overruns, and lack of practicality have plagued. 5. Wasted billions. The failure of Interstate H3. Hawaii's 26-kilometer-long Interstate H3 travels through some of the world's most breathtaking scenery. However, there was opposition and debate around the highway's development. The route was initially suggested in 1960 to link the Marine Corps Air Station to the Pearl Harbor Naval Base for military purposes. Environmental regulations caused development to be postponed indefinitely because environmental organizations and Native Hawaiians were worried about the urbanization the project would bring. The ecological obstacles were lifted 26 years later, and the building eventually started in 1989. Since its opening in 1997, the roadway has been regarded as an engineering wonder because of its challenging topography and cutting-edge building techniques. Despite its beauty, the highway has drawn criticism for being a road to nowhere, since it doesn't go directly to Honolulu Center, and for demolishing places that are important to the local Hawaiian culture. With a building cost of $1.3 billion, it has the highest price per kilometer globally. 4. Abandoned dreams. The story of Ciudad Real Central Airport. Spain's Ciudad Real Central Airport was designed to substitute Madrid's extremely congested main airport. The airport was anticipated to handle 2 million travelers annually, and plans were underway to expand its capacity to 10 million. However, the airport had several issues when it opened in 2009, including a shortage of big carriers and its distant position 200 kilometers from Madrid. The airport fell into receivership in 2012 after accruing a $350 million debt in its first year of operation. 2013, it was up for sale, and in 2014, a British TV program made it well known as an abandoned place. In 2019, the airfield was eventually sold and used to store aircraft that had been grounded because of the COVID-19 epidemic. However, the airport's future is still being determined, since it is still being determined when regular aircraft operations will resume. Even after spending billions of dollars, this massive project still serves no use for travelers worldwide. 3. Myanmar's ghost city. The failure of Naypyidaw. The capital of Myanmar, Naypyidaw, was covertly constructed from the ground up in 2002 by the previous military authorities. The old capital, Yangon, was approaching the limits of its infrastructure, and its population was expected to quadruple by 2050. This was one of the reasons for the abrupt move of capital, albeit the exact reasons were unknown. The new project was constructed quickly, and the city has received $4 billion in funding from successive governments. But with less than 1 million people living there now, the city is sometimes called a ghost town. Few travelers use the city's airport, and the 20-lane highway is almost deserted. The hotel lobbies and malls are practically deserted. Even still, the town was intended to be a future metropolis, and there is still hope for its eventual restoration. 2. Malaysia's unfinished Metropolis, the forest city disaster. Reclaimed land on 4 artificial islands will give rise to Forest Metropolis, Malaysia, an eco-friendly, intelligent, and futuristic metropolis. The city will be built on an artificial forest ecosystem and be located near the independent city-state of Singapore. The city's architecture incorporates several eco-friendly innovations, such as vertical gardens and structures with green roofs that mimic a jungle. However, the city's growth has been delayed by several political and economic challenges it has had to overcome. Since China is the project's primary sponsor, Chinese people practically had free admission to the city for the first several years of construction. Because they could not afford the exorbitant prices of apartments in their own country, wealthy Chinese investors flocked to Forest City. There was a stir when the city's government changed, and foreigners were no longer allowed to own property there. 1. Nevada's nuclear nightmare, the Yucca Mountain Repository. Disposing of nuclear waste is a delicate and urgent problem for the world. If nuclear waste is not kept correctly, there are well-documented and potentially catastrophic risks. The U.S. government began looking for a suitable site for a deep underground deposit of nuclear waste in the 1980s to find a long-term solution to this expanding issue. Following much deliberation and investigation, the authorities determined that Yucca Mountain in Nevada was the best alternative. The mountain is composed of volcanic ash generated millions of years ago, allowing it to absorb radioactive waste without breaking or splitting. It is also close to the most famous nuclear testing site in the United States and distant from any population areas. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from me again, hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.